What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's going on with Tesla SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down some big news that involves Elon Musk and Cathie Wood, what's happening with Tesla moving forward, and what you should be watching for as the day progresses. But before I break into devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Put in $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 free stocks. That offer ends in just about 5 days. Anyways, for Tesla, we got this very, very monstrous pump up to 182.5. This is the level we called out. I mentioned that Tesla could break all the way past 180 and make its way up to the 182.5 area. And then once we hit this resistance, to watch and see how it reacts. Overall, Tesla did go all the way up to this level. Now we're starting to reject just a little bit. So I'm going to be watching to see how well it holds up in this 182 range. But I want everyone to be kind of careful as we're at some tight resistance, and because Tesla pumps so hard in a very, very short period of time. So with that being said, let's talk about some news. I want to remind everyone that I made a little mistake in my previous video. I mentioned that it was Wednesday. I went over the Wednesday data. It's actually Tuesday today, so sorry about that, guys. But anyways, for today, there wasn't really much data that came out. We just had some manufacturing data and services data from the Dallas Fed, and we're going to be looking for the 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time 42-day bill auction. That might cause some volatility. Besides that, I'm not really seeing a whole lot going on in terms of data for the remainder of the day. And nonetheless, guys, I mean, the moves were still kind of fluid. SPY did pump just a little bit. We're still kind of shopping on SPY, but Tesla still made this big move anyways, we called out. So none of this was wrong. This was all as predicted, exactly as expected. So now let's talk about what's happening with some news. So with some news coming out, there's a lot of talk about the Chinese sales. Overall, yes, Chinese sales are actually down compared to last quarter. I showed you guys some numbers in the pre-markets, but they are up over 11% compared to the previous week, which is not bad whatsoever. Insurance registrations are at 13,700. Not bad whatsoever. It could have been way better, I would say, but still not bad. And then there's also a lot of news about how there's more projected growth coming for Tesla, and Cathie Wood and her ARK or ARK Invest funds loaded up on more Tesla stock on Monday, purchasing 163,000 shares. So that was just yesterday. We saw her buy up more and more Tesla, and she bought about $28.21 million. Now, whether this is a good move or not, right before Tesla's big delivery numbers, that's up to you to decide. Who knows what's going to happen? But I just want to say that we can't, or we shouldn't just solely copy her, do anything like that, because she's in a very different state from many of us. Most people are not trading with millions and billions of dollars. So I just want to make it clear that just because she does this does not mean you should be loading up the boats for no reason. You want to be looking for very, very good entry points. You want to be very careful anyways. Non-financial advice is just me kind of like talking about this. So she did buy up more Tesla shares. Remember, she's always dollar cost averaging, and she still is a much bigger bull for the long term. So she could have very, very different intentions from different people. That's still a good piece of news. The Cybertruck also made rounds in Mexico. We actually saw a lot of tests being done. There's actually some pretty cool stuff right over here. We can also see that we saw them essentially going off-roading on some of those cases. There's been a lot of talk about how this is going to be critical for the Gigafactory in Mexico, and Tesla's still working on that. So some interesting news has come out. Anyways, looking at Tesla, I just want to say that Tesla is still on this very, very strong push, looking very, very bullish overall. But watch resistance at 182.5 is kind of tight up there. If we manage to break through this, we're going to be looking for a move all the way up to about 184.4. If we break that, we could be going all the way up to 187.5. If we reject off 182, there could be a risk of us coming back down to 180. But as of right now, Tesla's kind of shopping in this 182 area. It's not really doing a whole lot, but there is still potential for this to go higher if we do break this resistance. I just want to call out that this is a very, very tough resistance, so just be a little bit careful. Tesla could come back down from here a little bit later on, so we'll just have to see. But overall, it's holding up very, very well. If we break past the 182s, we could easily push up to 184.44. But we'll just have to wait and see. As of right now, the majority of this move is done. We did call out the majority of this move already. Considering where Tesla was yesterday, Tesla is still doing well. For SPY is in a very, very critical place. Now, what's interesting about SPY is we have a potential inverse head and shoulders like structure. We have a nice looking development right over here on the charts. We're also trying to break out of this overall bull flag like structure, but I'm not going to guarantee we're just going to run up immediately. We first have to see SPY get a clean bounce off 521, which is where this left shoulder level is. If we get that big bounce, we could see this thing actually start to break out higher to 522 plus and then the new all-time high. So it hasn't broken 522 yet, and we're barely holding 521. And if it ends up losing support at 520.6, we could actually turn back down a little bit before we try to bounce again. So just be careful, guys. I'm not saying that SPY is going to sink or anything. We're just kind of stuck in this 521 zone. We're very choppy. So I would rather say that just be very, very patient with it. Give it the time it needs to see which move kind of pans out. Do we get a nice bounce from here or not? We're at support. We have to get a bounce from here for this inverse head and shoulders to play out. We're getting close, so we'll just have to wait and see. QQQ is also looking kind of interesting. So I did call out how it might actually drop a bit more, and that's what's happening so far. If we lose this 445.25 support, we could come back down to 444 and then bounce. If we hold this support right here, so it will still have potential. One thing you could kind of argue is that we have like a symmetrical structure developing from both of these ends, and then we could get a retracement back down to like 444 and then try to rebound. That could still produce an inverse head and shoulders, but just to be safe, I would recommend just waiting just to see how this goes. So I do want to note that there's a risk of the QQQ coming down a bit lower if we end up testing 445.25. And if we lose that, we could come back down to 444 and then get the bounce, right? I think it's going to bounce later, but we have to see, are we going to do it now or is it going to take some time? Aapl is kind of flat right now in this 170 area, not really doing a whole lot, just kind of trading sideways. So I expect it to be range bound exactly what I said in the morning, that is what's playing out. For Nvidia, I said it might actually dip a little bit, but then it could try to rebound later. We're approaching this critical support where this white trend line happens to be. So it looks right over here. Let me just zoom out a little bit more. So right here, we have this white trend line. We bounced off of this. We hit this again. We bounced off it. Now we're about to approach this very close to the hourly 50 EMA. Where we're going to be looking at support in the 938 area. That's the previous resistance. And if we lose that, we could come down to like 930 and then bounce. But overall, watch support on Nvidia. We were expecting this to dip a little bit. And I said that if this thing were to dip, we could be looking for a test of these supports. Then we'll see how it goes from there. But anyways, guys, looking at Tesla in the markets, Tesla's still showing a lot of life. It's showing some strength. But let me just say that this resistance at 182.5 is going to be a little tricky. So we'll have to see how Tesla does around here. It's just kind of choppy right now at this high level. So just be careful, give it the time it needs, and we'll see if Tesla can get a clean break above the 182s or not. So give it time and do what you have to do, guys. I'll see you guys very soon in just a couple of hours. Thank you for listening. Have an absolutely incredible rest of the day. And once again, guys, I am sorry that I accidentally made a small mistake in the morning about saying that it was like Wednesday, going over Wednesday data instead of Tuesday. Sometimes that happens, I record these videos early in the morning, so it could happen. But anyways, it didn't really matter much. Tesla still made the move we were calling out, and technical still panned out. So it is what it is. I'll do a much better job next time. And with that being said, take care, guys. Tesla to the moon, because the long term is still very bright. And peace out.